Hyomoto mod spotlight. Playing the mods so you'll know what they're about.
Hello, my name is Hyomoto, and I made this video to cast a spotlight on a mod that I really think deserves some attention. I think it's getting some more attention, and just in case there's those out there who either A, just haven't heard of it, or B, are sort of on the fence about whether or not they're really interested in it, I'd like to sort of show it off a little bit, and hopefully that'll be enough to sell you on it. And I'm going to do it by flying an all IVA mission to orbit and then back. That means no map. I'm just going to simply go off of the information that I have available. And where am I going to get that information, you might wonder? Well, that's pretty easy. I'm going to get it from RasterPropMonitor, a mod by Mihara that's hopefully taking the Kerbal community by storm. Now, I know IVA isn't everyone's bag, but hopefully this will actually come to change that, because it gives us what we never had before, which is information we need to fly our vessels. And that's just really cool. I wish that I could say that he stopped there, that he just created these monitors and they were super cool. But no, what he created was a framework, and that framework you can do so much with. The indicator panels, they actually work now. The buttons, they have functions. They have actions, they can have animations. The panels themselves, they can all be rewritten. I've actually written all the pages that I'm going to use to fly with, because even though the example prop comes with a completely functional interface, I wanted one that was obviously, tailored to what I wanted, but also that only gave me the information I needed when I needed it, so that I wasn't sitting there trying to sift through a bunch of cluttered screens for information. So the first thing you'll notice here is obviously that we're taking off, and it's completely boring because I don't have that exterior view of my rocket. I mean, okay, you don't have the sound effects, but I had the sound effects. You're not getting any. All right. But anyways, because I can't see that exterior condition of my rocket, I don't know a lot of things. I can't see, I guess, some of the really exciting things like, the sonic effects, or the re-entry effects, and but at the same time, I don't know about the condition of my rocket. I don't know if my staging is going off without a hitch. Without my overlay, I don't know exactly what the fuel quantity in my tanks is, so I have to kind of decide when to stage. When do I do it? And obviously you do have cues. You have your audio cues that you can go off of. I have pages set up here that do give me the information that I want, but it still feels all a little bit nervous, because just as I would normally set up a maneuver node at my apoapsis in order to circularize my burn, I'm not going to be doing that here. I'm just going to be flying it by the seat of my pants, or it's very much the Wild West of the current time. Part of that's just because Kerbal Space Program returns bad variables for things like staging. It's very useless, and you only get the right values some of the time, so you're kind of eyeballing it. But yeah, that feels, as many people might agree, that feels kind of Kerbal. I kind of dislike that that Kerbalism is sort of a way of explaining some of the problems of the game, and at the same time it still kind of adds that uniqueness to it that really kind of makes it appealing or compelling. Now, I'm going to show off another feature right here. Now that I'm in orbit, I haven't seen my craft, but I might like to see my craft. Now, how am I going to do that without pressing, F2 and bringing up that interface? And the answer is that Mihara, he also thought of that. And what he's working on right now is a system by which you'll actually be able to transfer modules. But for right now, you can just double click on the hatches and bam, welcome to space. And yeah, so now I'm gonna just have a quick look and make sure that I haven't collected any spare parts, and that I don't have any extra parts, and that I'm not missing any parts. I think that's kind of what we all hope on our space missions, is that our rocket looks the way we planned it out when we got there. And I've always really liked the IVA. I feel like it should be added to. I feel like there's a lot of potential there. One of the things I'd really like to see is science experiments. I don't like the fact that you right-click on them from the ship to activate them. I think it'd be really cool if we brought our Kerbals out to do science. And And so, here's me checking the hull, and I'm safety minded, so I'm not going to go behind the exhaust, even if the Kerbals tend to be a little bit more flagrantly courageous in the face of danger. And but yeah, I'd really like to see IVA. Sorry, EVA. I'd like to see the EVA expanded and become a more prevalent part of the game. I mean, I just think it's too cool of an idea to just simply get out and plant a flag with. I don't know exactly what it would be. I think we're all kind of hoping for magnetic boots, or even the possibility of moving around in IVA as EVA. Let's really start to mix these two together. So now that I've completed my spacewalk, as far as mod features go, not much left to highlight on that. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and do my fast forwarding of time through magic. And the one last thing that I guess like to mention about this particular mod is that it does have the ability for plugin writers to actually interface with it, and in the future, perhaps much like Blizzy's toolbar has started to gain popularity, we'll start to see more people kind of building plugins for RasterPropMonitor. But I think it'll take more people like myself that are really interested in writing the interfaces for it before that really starts to catch on. But that's hard to say. Another mod that I'd like to spotlight here, just because it helps for this experience, is you may have actually caught me turning on my F2 there for a moment, and that was to set up my action group using Action Group Manager. And that is a nice mod if you're planning on playing IVA, because it allows you to interact with your ship in a way that you'd normally need your right-click menus. You can set up your engine toggles or your parachutes or whatever, and it's not something that you necessarily have to do while you're still in the staging area. And also, it's a thing where if you can have more than 10 action groups, because especially for people building incredibly complicated vessels, the action groups you may just use during takeoff, and then you want new ones. For instance, I like to set up my crew reports or science experiments, and it's just a much easier way to do that. It provides that sort of flexibility that otherwise we wouldn't have. And for the final bit here, I'm well into my trajectory of return. The very first time I did this, I did not place a camera in a very specific position, which I always do now. And most of you probably would have thought of doing it first off, but it eluded me. And that was to place a camera that was pointing straight up. And the reason for that is not really to see where I'm going, but to see what's coming after me. And in this case, I actually, during this mission, something happened. One of my lower cameras got destroyed by the heat in the atmosphere, and I had no way of knowing what my ship looked like. So when I detached it, there ended up being an explosion and stuff, but I wasn't sure if my parachute had actually survived. And so, once I actually got around to launching the parachute, I used my camera that was still facing up, as you can see down there. And luckily, yes, the parachute was still there. I don't know what the explosions were. I think it was whatever I ejected off during my staging. I think it burnt up in the atmosphere, but it's one of those moments that I think you really get with all IVA, because once again, not knowing that exterior condition of the rocket really made it, that sort of suspenseful moment. And yes, I understand I could hit F2 and I could check, but that sort of belies the whole experience that you're going for when you're trying to do this. And I really hope that some of you guys are gonna, enjoyed this video in some bizarre fashion, and two, will take a look at the RasterPropMonitor, because I think that it really has that potential to really bring in the IVA community, because it's been kind of neglected up until this point, and it's about time it learned to shine. There's a couple interesting features coming down the pipeline. Mihara, obviously, he's talked about an orbiter-style orbital display, and he's started the preliminary work on it, so maybe we'll see something like that in the future, and I think that's sort of the mainstream component that will really sell it for some of the the less hardcore or less punishing players. But yeah, now that we've landed in the water, once again, I'm going to open up my capsule and flood it, and welcome back to Kerbin. So there you have it. That's an entire mission done entirely in the IVA, except for my minor EVA excursion, and no map nodes, none of that stuff. So if you guys are looking to have that kind of an experience, then yeah, now there's a mod out there for you to do it, and check it out. Thanks, guys. See you next time.